you wrote something in here, and I've been arguing this point, and people listen past and talk past me on it for years. It's so important. You wrote homicide is not synonymous with murder.
Right.
Homicides count both murders and justifiable homicide. For example, when a police officer or a civilian kills someone in self-defense. Now, in the NYPD, the definition of homicide, this was ingrained into us in the academy. Homicide was any death other than by natural causes. It might be a crime. We might determine that the person jumped off the balcony and wasn't pushed, but it was initially a homicide if it was anything other than evident natural causes. It just frustrates me to no end when people conflate homicide and murder. And I'm so glad you made that distinction in this study. You go on to write. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Let's touch on that.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, gun control advocates insist on using homicides all the time and firearm homicides. And here's the problem, and that is the United States has a lot more justifiable homicides than most other countries do. And so what that tends to do is by using the homicide rate rather than the murder rate, it tends to make the United States look relatively bad. But, if a police officer kills somebody who is threatening to kill the police officer, I mean, again, we're talking about justifiable cases.
Yeah, the homeowner warding off the home invaders and killing one. Exactly.
Right. If somebody's trying to rape a woman and she uses a gun in self-defense,
right.
I don't put that in the same bad category by any means as, somebody who murders somebody else.
No, I don't either. And that has always frustrated me to no end. Why are we putting police shootings, justifiable homicides? The store owner protecting his business and his life is being lumped in with the MS-13 gangbanger who shot and killed someone over a drug deal.
Right. And what most people don't understand is that makes the United States look significantly worse relative to other countries. So you may have 13,000 firearm homicides,
right?
But 9,000 something firearm murders.
Right. Now, there's another stat in here that you talk about that I didn't know this, and I use this data very, very often, and I learned something else. You're right. Murder is not a nationwide problem in the United States. It's a problem in a very small set of urban areas. Now, that I knew, but I didn't realize until I read these numbers just how concentrated it was, Doc. You write, in 2014, the worst 2% of counties, 2% of counties in the U.S. accounted for 52% of the murders. 5% of counties accounted for 68% of the murders. That is a staggering statistic. Now, when I dug into this data, when I read your study, clearly these counties tend to be African American, to a lesser degree, primarily Hispanic. That's clearly why that narrative is being sanitized by the mainstream media.
Right. It's not just that you have these majority of the murders in just 2% of the counties. If you also look at those counties and look at what's called a murder map, kind of the distribution of murders in those counties, they're very heavily concentrated in certain areas. I mean, you can look at Washington, D.C., for example. Literally, the western half of the district has no murders. The southern part of the district around the Capitol has essentially no murders. And, you have the murders concentrated in certain areas in kind of the northeast part of the district.
Where the gang activity is, where the criminal activity is.
Right. So much of this is drug gang and gang related. Sure. You look at other cities like Indianapolis, outside of the center city, there's basically no murders that occur. And so not only do you have these murders concentrated in just a tiny percentage of these counties, but they're concentrated in small areas of those counties. And in a lot of these counties, you'll find maybe 8 to 10 blocks account for the majority of those murders.
This is really important subject matter, really, really important subject matter that gets to the heart of many of the problems that we're facing as a society today. And I want to bring it to you every day. So help me do it by subscribing to our premium service at www.therebel.media/shows.